felt with every strike of the tool is just unimaginable.
Really?
But here's where it gets really interesting to me. It spends a lot of time describing the beauty of the gems, which makes total sense. But then it pivots and spends an almost obsessive amount of time detailing the mundane mechanics of how this square breastplate actually attaches to the ephod harness.
Yeah, the text goes into incredibly granular, almost tedious detail about rings and cords.
It outlines two gold rings on the top corners of the breastplate, which connect to braided gold cables, which then hook into gold settings on the shoulder straps.
Right?
And then two more gold rings on the bottom inside corners of the breastplate, which have to be tied with a specific blue lace to two rings on the belt of the ephod.
It's very specific.
So specific. As a reader, you find yourself asking why. Why is the text so obsessed with the mechanics of rings, cables, and blue laces? Why does it matter so much that this gem-covered square doesn't bounce around on his stomach when he walks?
Well, the obsession with the mechanics stems entirely from the emotional directive behind the garment.
Okay, unpack that for us.
The text states that Aaron must carry the names of the children of Israel over his heart as a constant remembrance before God. The breastplate cannot swing loose. It cannot flap around carelessly when he bends over or turns around.
Because the people represent the heart, so they have to stay on the heart.
Precisely. The people are to be secured tightly, perfectly, and immovably over the heart of the high priest. The physical mechanics, those braided gold chains pulling the top corners up and the blue cords anchoring the bottom corners down, they ensure that the representation of the nation is always resting exactly against his chest.
That's amazing.
It's a physical manifestation of deep love and ultimate responsibility. The engineering isn't a fashion rule, it's a theological statement.
That makes the craftsmanship feel so much more profound. And, you mentioned earlier that the fabric of the breastplate was doubled over to create a pocket.
Yes.
What actually went inside that pocket? Because it feels like a very deliberate design choice.
This is where we cross the line from physical artisanship into the truly divine. Inside the fold of this breastplate went an item called the Urim and Thummim.
Which sounds completely mysterious, like an artifact from a fantasy novel.
It really does. But Rashid explains that the Urim and Thummim wasn't a gem or a tool, but a parchment with the explicit, sacred name of God written upon it. And when Moses placed this parchment inside the hidden fold of the breastplate, behind the stones, it literally activated the gems. The text suggests that the stones would light up, illuminating specific engraved letters to spell out divine answers and guidance for the people.
If you love designing things, just imagine creating an object so structurally complex, so beautiful, that it becomes a literal vessel for light to shine through and communicate with the world.
Exactly.
It's the ultimate interactive art installation. But it only worked because the physical vessel was flawless.
The physical craft and the spiritual magic are inseparable here. The vessel could only hold that divine light because the spinning of the threads, the carving of the stones, and the tying of the knots were all executed with that wise-hearted devotion we talked about.
Okay, so let's picture where we are. We've got the heavy, backward apron woven with solid gold threads. We've got the glowing gemstone breastplate strapped tightly over the heart with gold chains. Now we move to the layers underneath, which add a totally different sensory element to the outfit. Sound.
Yes, sound.
And with that sound, an element of extreme danger.
We are looking at the male, the robe.
This tunic was worn underneath the ephod harness. And unlike the gold and multicolored threads we just talked about, this robe was made completely, 100% out of blue wool, just pure, vibrant teshlit blue.
And Rashi points out a highly specific detail about the collar of this blue robe. The opening at the top wasn't just a simple hole cut into the fabric.
Right.
It was woven so that the edges folded inward, creating a thick, reinforced border around the neck. Rashi compares it to the heavily reinforced opening of a coat of chainmail or armor. The biblical text strictly commands, "It shall not be torn."
So it is literally built like a piece of armor to protect the wearer, but the part of the robe that creates such a vivid, almost cinematic sensory detail is the hem.
Oh, the hem is amazing.
All around the bottom edge of this pure blue robe, the artisans were commanded to make little cloth pomegranates, woven out of that rare blue, purple, and crimson wool. They looked like little round, hollow fruit dangling from the fabric. But alternating between every single cloth pomegranate was an actual hollow golden bell with a tiny golden clapper inside.
A golden bell, a cloth pomegranate, a golden bell, a cloth pomegranate,
Yeah.
alternating all the way around the circumference of the hem.
It's like he's a walking wind chime. Everywhere he steps, there is this rhythmic, metallic ringing of gold striking against soft wool.
Yeah, you would hear him everywhere.
But the reason given for the bells is incredibly intense. The text dictates that the sound of the bells must be heard when Aaron enters the holy place, quote, so that he will not die.
It's a heavy line.
I really have to push back here. Why the immediate threat of death just for getting dressed wrong? I mean, a missing bell resulting in a death penalty feels unbelievably harsh for a wardrobe malfunction.
I get that. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand the harshness, we have to grasp the intense psychological reality of what the high priest is doing. He isn't just clocking in for a shift. He is crossing the threshold into the Holy of Holies, the most intensely sacred, dangerously pure space on earth. He is walking in there, representing an entire nation, actively carrying their flaws, their hopes, and their sins.
He is stepping entirely out of the mundane world and into the concentrated presence of the divine.
And in that space, you cannot afford to zone out. You cannot be on autopilot. The bells serve to constantly announce his presence. It's a lesson in ultimate awareness.
Ah, I see.
You don't just sneak into a sacred space, and you certainly don't casually stumble into the presence of God. The ringing bells are a constant auditory anchor. They remind him with every single step, and they remind everyone listening in the courtyard outside that he's entering with immense respect, complete mindfulness, and total accountability.
Wow.
If he were to walk in silence, without the bells, it would demonstrate a casual arrogance, a lack of reverence for the magnitude of the moment. And in an environment of ultimate truth and purity, arrogance is spiritually fatal.
So the bells force him to be entirely present. The silence of the temple is broken by the sound of his own movement, reminding him of exactly where he is and exactly what is at stake.
Exactly.
But, I mean, if you are standing in that space, hyper-aware of every movement, hyper-aware of your own flaws and the flaws of the millions of people you're representing, the psychological pressure of knowing you aren't perfect must be terrifying.
Unimaginable pressure.
Which makes the transition to the very final piece of this uniform so brilliant. The outfit provides a solution for that exact terror. The crown.
Yes, the tzitz, often translated as the show plate.
The text describes it as a solid plate of pure gold, about 2 fingers wide, worn right across the forehead, reaching from ear to ear. It is tied securely with a blue cord over a special linen cap.
Right.
And just like the precious stones on the chest and shoulders, this gold plate is deeply engraved. It simply says, "Holy to the Lord."
And the tzitz sits at the very top of the high priest's body, but its purpose is arguably the heaviest burden he carries. The text states that Aaron shall wear it on his forehead to bear the iniquity of the holy things.
Let's break that down. Bearing the iniquity of the holy things. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it means that human beings are flawed. Even when the people of Israel brought their sacred offerings to the temple, even when they were trying their absolute best to do things correctly, they inevitably made mistakes.
Right, because we're human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had impure thoughts, they messed up the rituals, they fell short. The high priest wears this golden plate on his forehead to actively seek forgiveness for those specific mistakes.
Oh, wow.
He is literally wearing their need for grace on his forehead.
No.
The outfit is a uniform of leadership, yes, but it's also a shield of forgiveness for everyone else.
So what does this all mean? Let's zoom out and look at this complete picture.
Right.
Imagine this figure walking toward you in the ancient world. You hear him before you see him. The rhythmic, metallic chiming of the gold bells striking the soft wool pomegranates on the hem of his blue robe.
It's such a vivid image.
Then he comes into view, and you see the heavy backward apron shimmering in the sunlight because it's woven with solid wires of beaten gold. You see the massive, glowing gemstone breastplate locked tightly over his heart with braided cables, catching the light and bearing the engraved names of the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
And finally, shining blindingly on his forehead, a band of pure gold declaring holiness and seeking forgiveness.
It is a sensory and architectural masterpiece. For anyone who appreciates the deep connection between how something is built and what it ultimately signifies, this text is a masterclass.
It totally is.
You can see how these ancient artisans didn't just utilize extreme physical beauty, incredibly rare materials, and exhausting craftsmanship merely to make a man look important.
Right.
They used aesthetics to express the inexpressible. They used physical design to manifest deep love, ultimate responsibility, and a tangible connection to the divine. Every single hammered wire, every carved diamond, every ringing bell was a deliberate act of spiritual devotion.
Which brings us right back to where we started. This ancient spec sheet states right at the beginning that these complex garments are constructed to give the high priest honor and glory.
Hmm.
But I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over as you think about your own creations, your own art, and your own role in the world.
Hmm.
When you look at the design of this uniform, when you see the heavy emeralds and sapphires bearing the names of the people pressing down on his shoulders, when you see the tight golden cords binding the needs of the 12 tribes immovably over his beating heart, and when you see the gold plate strapped to his forehead, actively seeking forgiveness for everyone else's mistakes,
Yeah.
is the honor really about making the priest look glorious? Or, when you look past the sparkle and examine the hidden mechanics of this beauty, is the true glory found in dedicating your entire existence to caring other people?